What's happening, everyone? Nicky Hawkins here, West Ham Fan TV, back again with another video. Now, there have been reports this week that Jean-Claire Todibo and James Ward-Prowse have been exiled from the squad and they may never play for West Ham again. But Nuno Espirito Santos apparently has been working with them in training. Now, when you see the mistake, let's go first to Todibo. Todibo, who was very highly rated when he came in, who was going to go to Juventus, cost us quite a bit of money. Apparently there was problems with his attitude when it came to training, when it came to, I think, making just effort. Because I'm going to be honest with you, he's not a player that's excited me greatly since he's came. Someone who's so highly touted, he wasn't fantastic. Now, whose place will he replace if he comes back in? We was expecting it to be Kilman and Todibo. We thought Kilman and Todibo, who the two big centre-backs that came in for big money in that summer. Kilman's had a rocky start. Todibo hasn't really started at all. And, you know, he's been a bit, let's be honest, he's been a bit dodgy. I've got to be honest with you, he looks like he's put on weight every time I've seen him play. It took him ages to get into the first 11. When he did finally get into the first 11 after an injury, he hasn't pulled up any trees. Now, we are facing a very, very, very good side in Arsenal on Saturday. And we're going to need some defensive solidarity because they are, let's be honest, they're the posh Stoke. Very good at corners. You see them on last week when they played Newcastle. They're great at corners. Now, apparently, according to reports, Nuno Espirito Santos, after Santo, I've been told to stop saying Santos but say Santo. But after last week's performance against Everton, which was very, very much improved, there were still questions about the defence. We looked a lot more defensively solid, but let's be honest, the first goal was a huge mistake from Mavropanos. What he was doing, jumping up, heading like that, I've got no idea. The ball was nowhere near him. He was heading a ball that was, you know, at least 2 yards away from him. And even if he'd have, you know, even if Michael Keane wouldn't have been there, I think that ball would have hit his chest before it hit his head. I don't know what he was doing, but apparently, you know, he's going to keep his place in the starting lineup. According to all reports, but there are reports saying that he's been heavily working with Todibo and James Ward-Prowse on the training ground this week. Do you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Mavropanos is going to come out this week because what I've seen under Potter, especially, obviously we haven't seen a lot under Nuno, but what I've seen under Potter, he's probably the best header of the ball we've got. You know, and he's quite big. And he did score against Arsenal a couple of seasons ago when we beat him 2-0. Was it 2-0? Yeah, we beat him 2-0. He did score against them. So, yes, it's one of them ones. Would I put him back in? I probably would. I probably would stick with Mavropanos on this occasion. Just because, as I said, they're very, very good at corners. They're very good at heading. Now, apparently, James Ward-Prowse has been getting big praise from Nuno because a lot of people were saying that he'd been banished to the under-21s to train. Now, that isn't the case, apparently, because he's been seen this week working with both Todibo and James Ward-Prowse in the first team. So, is James Ward-Prowse going to come back in? I don't think so. It seems more likely that Freddie Potts might come in because he's been working heavily with Freddie Potts. But he's been working with all the teams. So, listen, I don't know whether it's the right decision to put James Ward-Prowse in, but obviously he hasn't exiled him. You know, he did work with him at Forest, and he didn't fancy him there. So I don't think James Ward-Prowse is going to come in against Arsenal. Freddie Potts may come in. You know, I thought Magassa and Fernandes done well. It depends on the positioning because it seems like we're going to stick with Somerville, who was excellent on Monday. Paquetá, who wasn't so great, I must say, but you know the quality he's starting to show with him, especially against Villa, and Bowen, who was back to his best. Probably Fulkrug will start, I must say, but he has been working with him. So I expect Debo and James Ward-Prowse to be on the bench. Who would it be in place of? I would imagine a couple of kids, but it does seem like Freddie Potts is going to have a big impact here. There's also been rumours. Now, I don't know whether this is the right thing or not, because I thought Areola was excellent on Monday. There is also rumours that he's going to bring Hermansen back in. Now, I have not been impressed with Hermansen at all. I'm gonna say that I have not been impressed with him at all. He's conceded a record amount of goals for us, I believe, in the beginning when he's been in between the sticks. He cost us a lot of money. He hasn't impressed me at all. But Nuno has got a bit of a past of changing up his goalkeepers. Now, maybe because there's international break coming in, people are saying that this is a bit of a free hit for Nuno. You know, he's not expected to get anything against Arsenal. So what he's going to do is he's going to have a look at some of the players. So that is the wider rumours why James Ward-Prowse and Todibo may come back in, but also Hermansen. He wants to have a look at what he's got before they go into the international break, because after the international break we come into a run of games that are very, very much more you'd expect us to be able to compete a bit more. You know, they're looking at us Arsenal, and listen, I can't say that this is wrong, but they're looking at Arsenal as a bit of a free swing, you know what I mean? Although we have beat them the past 2 times. Arsenal are going to probably line up just as they were against Newcastle. They'll have a couple of changes. I think Martinelli will come out, although Martinelli has looked good recently. He isn't as highly touted as Eze was excellent against Newcastle. But yeah, as I said, the 3 changes it could be for us: Ward-Prowse, Todibo. I don't think will come back in. More likely to come back in will be Hermansen. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, Hermansen or not. Check out the boys later on with Friday Night Pint. They'll be going over a couple of things, I'm sure. And I'll be back straight after the game with the morning after the game before. As you can see, I'm out in the States here at the moment. So videos from me will be a little bit more scarce. Thank you to our sponsor, OK Jerseys. You know, get your jerseys there. Use code Nicky for 8% off. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to watching it. Well, will I be looking forward to watching it? I don't know. I'm a lot more confident now than I was under Nuno, that's for sure. But I'll be watching the Arsenal game, and as I said, I'll be straight back up with the morning after the game before, straight after Arsenal. And I'm sure the boys will be back with post-match pint. But thank you very much for joining us. One thing left for me to say: come on, you ones.